We're about news, commentary, conversations, truth, liberty, and God. We stand for American values and our flag. We believe that the Constitution is a document that fortifies rights already given to us by our Creator. We will not apologize for our love of God and country, ever. We are Right America Media.
Hey everybody, Drew Allen here, your Millennial Minister of Truth, back from a well-deserved vacation with my family last week to Florida. But first, it never ceases to amaze me just how empty the lives of so many Democrats are. And the latest indication of that is this No Kings protest. The No Kings protest. So this is happening on October 18th, this weekend. What are they protesting? No kings. No kings. We'll get into it in some more depth later, but the point is you've got Donald Trump who just finished negotiating another historic peace deal between Hamas and Israel. There's still some issues there with Hamas and the hostages and the remains of the dead and so on and so forth, but this was a big deal. You've got the Democrats that continue to keep the government shut down. And that's right. It is the Democrats who are doing it. And so they're still going on. Business as usual. Things never change for the Democrats, right? Facts, reality never alter their course of action. They just plug ahead, empty as usual. And that's what they're going to do on October 18th. I mean, there's no election right now. But and by the way, who is it that goes to these things? Who attends these things? I got two young girls. I'm married. I'm going to go spend my weekend in the streets screaming obscenities about, the president of the United States. I don't think so. I've got more important things to deal with in my life, more fulfilling objectives. But I was in Florida last week. That's why there was no show. And I got to just tell you one observation, because as many of you know who've been listening to me for some time at least, I live in California and I don't leave that often because, again, I have two young kids. One is 10 months old. So, it's not a joy to hop on a plane and travel with two kids and all that sort of stuff. So I'm pretty locked in here. And again, I live in the Napa Valley. It's kind of a bubble. It's a beautiful part of the state. It's wine country. It's still very liberal. It's California after all. And I'm still, of course, subjected to those horrific policies of Gavin Newsom and the Democrats who control this state. And so I say that because it was so refreshing to get out and go to Florida. And my wife was born and raised in California, in Southern California. I've spent so much of my time here as well. And it's hard to even explain. If you've had this experience, you know what I'm talking about. But to live in a oppressive state, left-wing state, like a California, there is a cloud that hangs in the air every single day. It is a heaviness that comes from the heavy hand of government. And you feel it. Obviously, you feel it too with the taxation, with your bills. Everything's just harder in a blue state. Your life is harder. And, we went to Pensacola, Florida. That's in the Gulf. That's up, basically, it's the South. It's up near Alabama. And my wife and I both remarked to each other, basically immediately, as soon as we got to Florida, about how we could feel more freedom. We felt freer. And it wasn't because of being on vacation. I've gone on vacation in California before. Gone on vacation to other blue states before. There is something that happens When you live in a state that prioritizes and prizes freedom, constitutionality, and again, it's a feeling. It's hard to articulate, but we felt it in our bones. The people were so friendly, so kind, and now I'm back in California. And again, it feels heavy. It's like I'm wearing a weighted vest again. I want to start out. We'll get to know Kings in a little bit. I want to start out with addressing, man. This isn't for you. You are amongst the most educated, informed, enlightened Americans in this country that listen to this show. But I have to address, people in this country that just still are incapable of thinking critically, that are still subject themselves to the whims and the hyperbole and the hysteria of the left and the media and what they tell you you're supposed to feel, what they tell you you're supposed to believe, how they tell you you must react to their reporting, their bombshells, whatever it is. And I am trying my darndest to help Americans break free from this vicious cycle. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about these new text messages on a Signal chat, I believe it was, or maybe it was not Signal, maybe it was whatever, one of the other ones. Let me see if I can put these comments on the stage, if we get some. All right. So a bunch of college Republicans, essentially, a bunch of 20-year-olds, were involved in this big chat group. And these are private messages sent between them. And there was some unsavory language. There were things that you wouldn't want other people to see. They're embarrassing. They can obviously be misconstrued and taken out of context, or even in context, they can look awful. And actually, they can be awful too. But I really don't care. I'm not going to condemn any of these Republicans that were part of it. I'll get into it. We'll spend a little bit of time on this show on it today. I think it's important, because you have to understand why this is happening, why the left is putting this out there, and why you need to control your emotions and think for yourself. Now, if you want to condemn these kids, that's on you, but make the decision yourself. Don't do it because the left told you to. But again, this is effectively the equivalent of locker room talk, right? The Democrats tried to sink Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign with their October surprise, in which, they dug up video from over a decade prior, hot mic moment, grab him by the, and Donald Trump, what did he do? They wanted you and me to condemn Donald Trump. They wanted you and me to throw Trump, toss him aside, to throw him under the bus. And how did Donald Trump respond to that October surprise that probably would have sank the campaign of Mitt Romney or a John McCain or other Republicans who are incapable of fighting the left, which has no virtue, which has no principles, which insists on holding us to some standard that they obviously do not hold themselves to? Well, Donald Trump dismissed it as locker room talk, and this is locker room talk. This is a bunch of 20-year-old kids. Yeah. Did you say dumb things? Yeah. Do you need to grow up? Probably. But I would challenge anyone who's out there trying to dunk on these 20-year-old kids and clutch their pearls, so upset, demanding they be canceled and so on and so forth. A bunch of college kids in a private chat that isn't meant for the public. I want to, so Politico attained, and I'll get into supposedly how this happened, but Politico attained, 2,700 pages, I think it was, of messages, 2,900 pages of chats over a 7-month period. Now, I would challenge anybody who's clutching their pearls about this. Go ahead and release 2,900 pages of your own text messages going back 7 months. To anybody in you want to reveal those to the public? You want to tell me that you haven't said something in a chat, something in a text message to your friend or buddy that you wouldn't want other people to see? You haven't sent a single text message over a 7-month period that you would die if somebody got a hold of it? So take the stick out of your own eye, first off. And this idea that we're supposed to pretend that these kids that are 20 years old, that are in college, and look, college kids are stupid in college. Many of you were probably stupid in college. And so the idea that you're going to hold some 20-year-old college students, even if they're part of the Republican, young Republican group, to the same standard you'd hold, for example, this Jay guy, Jay Jones, who's running for not AG. What is he? What is John Jay? What is Jay Jones? What a name. Attorney General nominee. That's right. He is the AG nominee. Jay Jones in Virginia is running. He's a Democrat candidate running for Attorney General. And, recently, within the last week, we learned of text messages he had sent in 2022 that were wishing death upon his a Republican opponent, if you will. And I want to pull it back. I just think this is such an important thing to discuss right now because I am tired of being manipulated by the left. And I'm tired of this loser mentality of Republicans creeping, because I tell you what, these Republican groups, actually the state Republican parties in many states have come out with a hammer on these college students, condemning them in ways I never even see them release public statements condemning Democrats. And that's what's so outrageous about this to me. Gabriel Emilio Zarate. I like to bring up these comments. There are many amazing people that listen to the show, and then you have really stupid people like Gabriel Zarate show up and say something stupid. Kirk was a voice for white supremacy. Fascinating. You're one of those Democrats that danced on his grave, right? You dance on Charlie Kirk's, and this is what gets me too. These people dance on the grave of Charlie Kirk. They celebrate the murder. And don't give me not everyone. Prominent people did it, from AOC to Ilhan Omar. Leaders of the Democrat Party danced on Charlie Kirk's grave. They said it was his fault. They said abominable things about Charlie Kirk. And in fact, their rhetoric got him killed. And now they want us to clutch our pearls about some private. Here's the thing. What prominent Democrats say in public when they know people are listening is far worse and more vile and more harmful and more dangerous than anything these 20-year-old college students, Republicans, said in a private group chat not meant for anyone outside of it to hear or see. And that's the main point. So anyway, if I was one of these kids, I wouldn't apologize. Not a single one of them should apologize. You don't owe anybody an apology. These are private text messages that were taken from you. Now, again, I want to mention the difference here. So you got Jay Jones, and I want to pull up these text messages. Here's Jay Jones' text messages. He is not the blue. He is the, gray. So here's the conversation with Jay Jones, if you're just listening. So they're having a conversation because Jay Jones is telling whoever's on the other side of this message, horrific things about how he, hopes this Republican family dies. Now, here's what it says. You weren't simply asking questions, and you know it, this person says to Jay Jones. I genuinely was. I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic. Jay Jones says, sorry, this is not Jay Jones. The friend is saying, you weren't trying to understand. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Jay Jones says, yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. He goes on and says, Jay Jones, if those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves, send them out awash in something. The guy pushes back. Jay Jones says 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. The person pushes back. Jay, please stop. So Jay Jones is a grown man. He's not a 20-year-old college student. He's running for the Attorney General in Virginia. And this is how he talks about Republicans wanting to put bullets in their head. To try and equate this with the chat room with the Republican kids is outrageous. Now, again, you're free to sit here and say, I don't like what they said. They shouldn't be saying this. It's very immature. That's fair. But to try and pretend that this is equating, that we're the same, Republicans are what and the reason this message came out, let me tell you some background here. So allegedly, so Politico's the one who got all these messages, and they're the ones who put this out there. And apparently, this is what happened. Junta, who is was a chair of one of these organizations, he claimed that the release of the chat is part of a highly coordinated year-long character assassination led by Gavin Wax and the New York City Young Republican Club. These logs were sourced by way of extortion and provided to Politico by the very same people conspiring against me, he said. What's most disheartening is that despite my unwavering support of President Trump since 2016, rogue members of his administration, including Gavin Wax, have participated in this conspiracy to ruin me publicly. Wax is a staffer at the State Department. He formerly led the New York Young Republican Club. So this is allegedly how this happened. So you have a Republican working for the State Department that thought it was a good move to extort these text messages and then provide them to Politico out of a personal grudge. The only person that really needs to be condemned, if we're going to use the word condemned and the action condemned, is Gavin Wax. But, you know, and I'll pull up what Politico put. You can see, I'm the Millennial Minister of Truth. So I'm not withholding, evidence from you like Candace Owens likes to do with her conspiracy theories. So I love Hitler. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. So they put on the front, right, all these little messages that are completely taken out of context. Now, look, these kids, and again, I want to see Hillary Clinton's text messages. Show me Barack Obama's text messages. Show me Hakeem Jeffries' text messages. Show me all the text messages sent by Democrats after Charlie Kirk's death. Huh? How about that? Show me 7 months of your text messages if you're going to clutch your pearls about this and demand condemnation of all these kids. Oh man. So here's some important things to take away. Stay in the closet, FAGGOT. Walker of New York gested it in July, and he's talking to his friends. So the point is, these people are calling each other fags. These people are making fun of each other's ethnicity. So, Dawn, A New Day. Seriously? Why do you say seriously, Naomi? Naomi's not on here. This is the Drew Allen Show. But I want to hear more from you, Dawn, because you sound very intelligent. So Moseman, who is Hispanic, and he's a Republican, he's in this chat. Members of the chat called him a beaner, etc. So anyway, I'm not clutching my pearls over this at all. And the reason the Democrats are doing this is because they're losing the entire narrative. So think about this. The Democrats, for the last decade almost, have accused Donald Trump of being Hitler. They've accused MAGA of being Nazis. They have accused, Hillary Clinton, we're a basket of deplorables. ICE now is a bunch of domestic terrorists. The narrative doesn't add up, and the American people have seen over the last decade that none of their claims have been proven true. Authoritarians, they stole the election in 2020. And they had power for 4 years while they installed Joe Biden, who was the autopin president, for 4 years. They covered up and lied about his health and his mental acuity. Barack Hussein Obama, of course, engaged in the most horrific act of war against this country in our lifetimes. He gave the order to conduct a coup against Donald Trump in 2017, ordering the intelligence community assessment via John Brennan. After Donald Trump was elected president in November, he then ordered, everyone knew that the Trump-Russia collusion baloney was a complete hoax. It was a Clinton plan to smear Donald Trump during an election year. The FBI knew it. They had no evidence. I've got a book that's coming out about it in the next few months. And then it was Barack Hussein Obama who elevated it from hoax to coup, sanctioning the intelligence community, ordering them to come to the conclusion that Donald Trump was a Russian Putin asset in January before he was sworn into office. And of course, that kicked off the Mueller investigation. It undermined his presidency, and it was intended to undermine the will of the American people. So I don't want to hear anything from Democrats. If you get, you got to keep your house in order before you start criticizing everyone else. And the Democrats are in no position to accuse Republicans or clutch their pearls about these young Republicans or anything else. You become a good person. You live your life like you demand that Republicans live theirs, and then we can have a conversation. But you do not. You do not. And so I'm not going to participate in this pearl clutching. And you shouldn't either. Kids do stupid things. But they're Republicans, part of the young Republicans. And this means Republicans are finally Hitler and Nazis, because these people joked in a chat room without context. I love Hitler. I love Hitler. Let's just kick it off this way with a couple things. Barack Hussein Obama, America's worst president, who's still walking free and should be in prison for what he did and continues to do, undermining this country, leading the Marxist revolution to overthrow it. So he's on his big America hate tour. He's not president anymore, but he's really found his voice again. And he had the audacity to go on a podcast recently. And I've got a couple clips I want to play. Here's the first one.
We don't want, kangaroo courts and trumped up charges. That's what happens in other places that we used to scold for doing that. We want our court system and our Justice Department and our prosecutors to be, and our FBI to be just playing things straight and looking at the facts and not meddling in politics the way we've seen lately.
Talk about gaslighting. Ooh, yes. Barack Obama was so good and decent. He just wants things to return to the decency that he oversaw in his administration when he spied on Fox News reporter James Rosen. Oh, yes. And never forget, after the Benghazi attack that left Americans dead, including U.S. Ambassador Christopher Stevens, he ordered Susan Rice, he ordered the CIA to alter the talking points on the talking point memo to be given to Susan Rice to deliver on the 5 Sunday shows. He gave the order to revise it 12 times, to scrub it of the truth, to then claim that it was a spontaneous protest that was the result of a YouTube video. None of that was true. Everyone knew the whole time that it was a coordinated terrorist attack on Americans in Benghazi. And of course, one of the reasons he had to cover it up was because there was a CIA annex there that nobody knew about that was involved in, think about this. This is just so important to talk about the history of Barack Obama, because he was such a horrendous, evil human being. So he engaged in regime change throughout the Middle East. He started in Libya, overthrowing Gaddafi. And of course, that led to the country being overtaken by basically Al-Qaeda linked groups, franchises of Al-Qaeda. And after that regime experiment failed spectacularly, he then immediately went about trying to do the same thing in Syria. And he opened a CIA annex in Benghazi. And the reason this little, temporary embassy was in Benghazi was to give cover to the CIA presence there, to pretend that we had some diplomatic purpose of being in Benghazi, when really it was just a cover for the CIA annex a mile down the road. And this CIA annex and these operatives, these contractors, they were helping to funnel arms that were pillaged from Gaddafi's stores into Syria to help those radical terrorists overthrow that regime. And all this broke open a month before his reelection. And so he lied to the American people and told us, oh, no, this was just a spontaneous protest. It wasn't linked to the fact that I have destabilized Libya, that they are privy to the fact that, we have a CIA annex that's involved in additional destabilization. So that's what it was, a cover-up. This is the moral warrior, Barack Hussein Obama. Here's another clip.
I mean, what was unusual for me was obviously a lot of what I represented. Yeah. A lot of what Michelle and I had tried to project, the values, our thinking about America. My successor seemed to represent the opposite.
Right.
Not seemed, did.
Yeah.
And so I think there was a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, some fear among a big chunk of the country.
I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible the way these people lie. The way these people continue to gaslight the American people. Fred Freedom didn't read the piece. He says, it's just a bunch of kids joking around about Hitler and a couple of congressmen. There were no congressmen in there. There was one state rep, Fred. And the Politico article didn't quote anything that he said. He happened to be in the chat. Fred Freedom, show me your text messages from 7 months. I want to read them. I want to see. I'm curious what you said about Charlie Kirk, too. Show me 7 months of your text messages, Mr. Moral Warrior. All right. Are you actually defending those young Republicans? This is great. Keep them coming. You are all sicker than we thought. That is not hypocrisy, you fascist a-holes. Paul Pavao doesn't know that he's actually the fascist. He doesn't know what left-right means. He doesn't know any of it. Anyway, and you call everybody Hitler all day long. Your No Kings protest is a Maoist, Marxist attempt to overthrow the U.S. government. I mean, we're going to have a really good time. Paul, Fred, stick around, my friends. This is going to be great for your education because you guys clearly are not studied. You clearly are not, maybe you're smart. I hope you're smart, but you don't have any mental acuity yet. I'm going to help you. I'm going to teach you. That's why the Drew Allen Show exists, to help you break free from your abominable mindset. But first, what if the next big crash is already in motion and almost no one sees it coming? Every major economic collapse since 1929 was preceded by the same 7 warning signals. And right now, all 7 are flashing red at the same time. These aren't headlines. They're deep market indicators that Wall Street prefers you never hear about. That's why our friends at American Alternative Assets created the Bellwether Signal. It's a free report that reveals what these signals mean and how smart Americans are protecting their savings with gold and silver before it's too late. You can download your free copy right now at cloutgold.com or call us at 855-803-GOLD. Again, that's cloutgold.com or call 1-855-803-4653. Get the facts, protect your future, and don't wait for the headlines to catch up. So anyway, I'm just curious. So this is, I got to give you a lane warning, okay? While we're focused on these young Republicans, because obviously it's the end of the world. This was captured. I don't know. Can someone tell me if this sounds like a young Republican to me? I'm not sure. I'm just going to play the clip. Sorry for the cursing. It's not me. It's this person. Here we go.
You can fuck around and find out when I get off.
Find out. Okay.
You shut up. Come and make me shut up. All y'all white motherfuckers, come and make me shut up. All y'all white motherfuckers. Yeah, because y'all fucking talking because he's a white motherfucker and I'm talking about a dog. If I don't want a dog to touch me, I don't have to let a dog touch me. If I don't want the dog to touch me. And man, you want to record too? I can record you too, man. You like recording? I can record you too.
You should record yourself yelling.
You like to record? I can record too. You want to record? Who the fuck is y'all? I pay my fucking MTA thing. I don't want no dog on me. I don't have to have a dog on me. You want to record? Huh? Miss Vanilla, you want to record? Come. Yeah, I said it. What the fuck you want to do? What the fuck you're going to do?
My God, just imagine if those young kids were texting that type of stuff to each other in their chat. Or imagine if Democrats were texting things like that. People say awful things. People say stupid things. That person is way more warped than probably these kids in the chat. Again, they need to grow up. I hope they learn their lesson. But to pretend that, this is evidence that Republicans are all across the board. It's like saying, oh my gosh, this black woman that says these things, this is indicative of all black people in America, of the Democrat Party being anti-white. I would never say that. But there's someone saying those things publicly. Vanilla. Oh, can you say that against white people? Or is that racist? Is that abominable too? Do we need to condemn? Do we need to find this woman's employer and make sure she's not hired? And I don't even want to do that to her. There's zero grace in this country. Everyone's looking to score political points. And everyone wants to apply the same thing across the board. 20-year-olds, this guy's an adult running for attorney general, wanting people to be killed and murdered. It's not the same thing. And if you think it's the same thing, and if you are not capable of having any, I think that people aren't capable anymore of having any more complex thoughts and conclusions. But anyway, I just thought I'd play that for you. I'd love to hear what Paul Paval thinks about that and Fred Freedom. I mean, that's clearly, I don't think, a young Republican. I don't think so. All right, let's talk about this No Kings protest. Maybe Paul is attending, and maybe Fred Freedom will be attending because they don't have anything going for them in their lives, apparently. So according to Time Magazine, I mean, you just pick one. They're all reporting the same thing. Millions expected to rally across the U.S. in No King's Day protests against Trump. So I want to talk about these No Kings protests. You've probably seen the footage. It's a bunch of angry leftists like Paul Paval and Fred Freedom that are marching with signs declaring no kings, no kings. As if we're, one executive order away from coronation. And they think, here's the thing with the No Kings folks, they think they are rebelling against tyranny. They genuinely believe that. But what they're really doing is just parroting slogans given to them by their kings that they would have elected instead. By people who despise freedom. That's all they're doing, parroting these slogans. Because the No Kings crowd does not believe in liberty. They don't believe in liberty. They hate the idea of any higher authority. They hate law and order. They hate a president they didn't vote for. That's a king because they didn't get their way. This is a puerile group. Speaking of like young 20-year-old young Republicans saying stupid, inappropriate things in private text messages, these No Kings people are even dumber, or even more disturbed, or even more misguided. They reject, the God who created them. They reject a moral order that tells them no occasionally. This no kings crap is not about Trump. It's not about monarchy. Anyone with a brain knows that. It's about rejecting what they don't like. Structure, rejecting accountability, rejecting truth. That's what this is about. And isn't it ironic? You know, all these people that are screaming no kings, they worship the government. They worship the media. They worship the leftist ideology like idols, like it's a religion of its own. And they bow to these unelected bureaucrats as long as it's their own. I mean, you know, these are the people that, you know, censored us, censored Dr. Naomi Wolf, tried to ruin her life, for example. These cultural commissars that try to cancel us, that shoot us and kill us like they did Charlie Kirk. And they call us authoritarian. It's hilarious. So this is just theater for the spiritually lost. That's what you're going to see take to the streets. Honestly, you know, Christians should just get out there and blast, you know, use it as a church service. All the lost, spiritually lost, are gathering in the streets this weekend on October 18th. We should hand out some Bibles or something like that. Maybe some constitutions too. You know, it's this movement by the left. It's chaos that's disguised as freedom. They want power without principle. That's what they really are after. And when you strip away all the noise, all the BS, all the propaganda, all the talking points and slogans, you know, these rallies are just, they're hollow, they're stupid. And honestly, they're dangerous performances. And they're carried out. The participants are people who can't stand the idea that real liberty, true liberty, comes from God, not from government. And all these no kings protesters, they actually don't want no king. They just want to be king. That's the reality. And I came across this article. I don't have it on me, but it was, I don't know if it was the Washington Times or one of those Washington things. I just had glanced at it recently. And it made a lot of good points. I mean, one of the points, it was pointing out the irony that all these people, you know, all these protests are being propped up by billionaires. 2 billionaires, in fact, George Soros, surprise, surprise, and a Swiss billionaire named Hans-Georg Weiss. And this is what's scary to me, folks. Other countries, other Marxists around the world who are not American, who don't live here, they are now using movements within the United States to undermine our democracy, to break this country apart and destroy it. Why is a Swiss billionaire funding No Kings protests? Why is a Swiss billionaire funding any kind of movement in the U.S. at all? But anyway, this article pointed out, you know, this No Kings protest, all these protests really from the left. I mean, this is just the latest iteration of, you know, like the Bolsheviks in 1917. This is the French Revolution. This is, you know, the Chinese Revolution of 1911. And what did all those movements have in common, right? They all had these slogans. And in France, it was liberté, égalité, fraternité, liberty, equality, brotherhood, the people's democracy, the people's movement. But what did they all ultimately lead to? Tyranny. Tyranny. In China, you got Mao Zedong. After that revolution. In Russia, with the Bolsheviks, you got Lenin, you got Stalin. You got Napoleon in France and others. And they're always about the same thing: wealth redistribution, economic fairness. And what's amazing is, the United States is, of course, the freest, most prosperous country ever to exist in the history of mankind. And so with the French Revolution, for example, just like we had a revolution, they engaged in their own revolution, but their ends were different. They didn't actually know what they were doing. We had clarity. And so there is no reason, to be participating in these Marxist revolutions in the United States of America, because there isn't inequality in the way that these past movements tried to address and be manipulated. There aren't emperors here in the United States of America. So what the left wants to overthrow in America is the greatest country on the face of the earth. What they want to do, ironically, with these No Kings protests and the entire Democrat Party at this point, is they don't want to overthrow a tyranny and replace it with a worse tyranny. They want to actually overthrow the greatest country in the history of mankind and replace it with these crappy countries that had revolutions in the past. And it will never end. But again, it's not about no kings. It's about having their own king. It's about them being king. That's what this is really about. They can't stand the idea that they lost. They can't stand the idea that they're the minority in this country. And you are. You are. Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain or stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path. You've heard me talk about this before. Collagen. It's made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. Collagen's found in, everywhere: your cartilage, your bones, your skin, your hair, your nails, your gut. And Native Collagen is a single ingredient formula. It doesn't have fillers. It doesn't have additives or artificial sweeteners. It's third-party tested for heavy metals. It's completely flavorless. Native Path Collagen can be added to anything, to coffee. I've done that before. Smoothies. I've done that before. Oatmeal. I have not done that one before, but you name it. And its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable. And that just means it's absorbed more easily. It doesn't clump. And they offer amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. I mean, it's a remarkable what Native Path has sold here. I mean, over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, 365-day no-risk guaranteed. Native Path is a trusted source. You can join their private Facebook community to share success stories and recipes. And you can visit getnativepath.com/dailyclout and start your transformation today. That is getnativepath.com/dailyclout. There are a lot of positive things happening. I just do want to point something else out about the left. I hope Paul Pavao and maybe Lee Allen Bartholomew and some of you other people that are calling me a white supremacist, you proud Democrats. I hope that you'll listen to this, because this is who you are. You claim to be these great intellectuals. You claim to be the moral authority in the United States of America, even while you reject the ultimate moral authority, God himself, the creator. But this is a great exchange. So RFK Jr. was on with Howie, I think, Carr. Is that his last name? Anyway, Howie. And I want you to listen to this exchange, because the left refuses, their brains reject truth when it conflicts with their narrative. So let me just ask you a question out there for you watching, my friends, my family, members of the Drew Allen family. True or false? Joe Biden and many people pushing the poisonous COVID jab, told you and me that you could not get COVID if you got the shot. True or false? True or false? Rachel Maddow went on her show and told us that if you got the vaccine, the virus stopped. Sound familiar? That is public record. That is a matter of fact. Everyone in this country should know that they were lied to. Everyone in this country should know and remember that these demons tried to force you to get a jab while telling you that you couldn't get COVID if you got the jab. That's how great the shot, miracle shot was. And that was not true. Listen to this.
Because I saw people on the news going, well, I got the vaccine and I still got COVID. They never said you won't get COVID. They just said that it'll kind of pull back the severity of it. So the fact is, that's well proven. You had double the deaths without it.
But Howie, listen to this. Okay,
I'm going to stop it there for a minute. I'm going to come back to this clip. Here's Joe Biden.
The various shots that people are getting now cover that. You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Yeah.
What? Did I hear that correctly? Did he not just say you're not going to get COVID if you get these vaccinations? Yeah. So anyway, in the clip with RFK Jr., he goes on to explain it. And RFK Jr. is one of the most articulate people on this subject in the world, obviously. And then Howie just shuts it down. Okay, let's move on. Doesn't matter. So even when you tell somebody on the left the facts, even gently, calmly, lovingly, they still just dismiss it. I mean, I feel sorry for these people. Do you not? That you are so devoted to an ideology that is built on lies that even when you are faced with the unignorable, undeniable truth, like that clip of Joe Biden, you still will pretend that that clip didn't happen, that Joe Biden didn't say it, or you'll say, oh, he didn't really mean that or didn't say it. Come on, people. You will be so much happier, so much more fulfilled if your objective is to be enlightened, if your objective is to go where the truth takes you, not where some pre-created narrative, not to ignore truth, to stick to something that's false. Come on. This isn't even about left or right. It's about truth and fiction. Things are changing around the world, though. I came across this clip of Keira Knightley, probably in relation to this new movie she's on Netflix, The Girl in Cabin 10 or something like that. I've started watching it, actually, but I haven't been able to finish it. But I want you to listen to her response because, you know, this trans issue was like the left's holy grail. You know, the trans thing, like you weren't allowed to have an opinion that diverged from the media narrative. And all of that's changing. And I cannot help but believe that Charlie Kirk was a major factor in creating this change. And I'll show you what I mean. But here, listen to actress Keira Knightley.
I saw you're voicing Professor Umbridge in the new Harry Potter audiobooks. I was wondering, are you aware that some fans are calling for a boycott, given J.K. Rowling's ongoing campaign against trans people?
I was not aware of that, no. I'm very sorry. You know, I think we're all living in a period of time right now. We're all going to have to figure out how to live together, aren't we? And we've all got very different opinions. So I hope that we can all find respect.
I think people are tired of it. Here's Cole Swindell, who's a country singer. This is testimony about how Charlie Kirk, how his influence and his martyrdom, his death, have really changed people. It's changed me. I've talked about that on this show before. And actually, I've got a book that's going to come out before Christmas about Charlie Kirk. I'll tell you more about it when I can. I sent the book in to my publisher yesterday, and now we're working on the cover, and the editor has it and all that. So I'm very excited about this book about Charlie and his influence and how the left killed him. Here's Cole Swindell.
And a guy just, got assassinated for believing how I believe, except for he was a little more bold about it. And I think that's what got me. It was just, made me look in the mirror, somebody that's living like I should be living and spreading the word as a Christian, what I should be doing with the platform that I have. And I think, you're seeing that. And like I said, I am by no means the first one. Obviously, John Rich, people, the Aldeans, I mean, people that have led the way in that. And now, like I said, I just think a lot of us are just, fed up with feeling like we can't say how we believe. I mean, there's no harm in that, and like I said, I'm a loving person. I'm not judgmental. I kind of stay out of the way and do my own thing and try to be good to people. And that's just it's not good enough anymore. I have to influence other people to be good to people and just keep trying to do all we can. Like I said, I never had a chance to meet Charlie, but I'm learning a lot more about him every day. I mean, the clips, the things I'm seeing. I mean, even this song was inspired. I happened to run across a clip of Erica the first time she spoke after, and that really is what is what hit me the hardest. I'd heard "Make Heaven Crowded," I'd seen the phrase, but it never.
Man, what a life well lived. I mean, that is a guy. He just, he just had his 32nd birthday, and on his 32nd birthday, Trump posthumously gave him the Medal of Freedom, and it was a beautiful ceremony. I mean, his parents have stayed out of the spotlight. They were present at the ceremony at the White House. Obviously, Erica Kirk was there. She spoke, and I'll play a clip from her in a minute. It's just really heartbreaking. There are people out there that are viciously attacking Erica Kirk, questioning everything, every move she makes, judging her, the way she mourns, judging what she wears, trying to claim that she doesn't care about Charlie. It's just really, really sick stuff I've seen. And there are a lot of sick people in this country for sure. That somebody would take the time to judge Erica on how she's supposed to mourn her husband when you've never been through anything like that in your life. To try and question her, to suggest that she doesn't hurt right now, to offer those words of hatred and criticism while she goes through hell. I want to play this clip of her speaking.
And before I close, I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday. Excuse me. She said, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal. I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream. And I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you," is what she said. And while our son is precious, he can't yet speak. In classic Kirk family fashion, his actions spoke louder than his words, and his gift to you, Charlie, and myself for that matter, was deciding to become the man of the house and be fully potty trained at 16 months. But Charlie, baby, I know that you're celebrating in heaven today, but gosh, I miss you.
It's so funny. I see a lot of the hatred towards Erica coming from women. And it's the damnedest thing to me because as a married man, I can tell you how much I respect my wife. And one of the biggest things I'll tell you about my wife is how strong she is. Women are strong. Biologically, emotionally. They are built differently than men. They give birth, for example. I have been in the hospital with my wife on 2 occasions now because we have 2 young girls. And it's war. It is absolutely war. And only a woman could get through that with such strength, with such composure, as much as you can have in a situation like that. The way my wife supports our family, the way she does things without complaint, the way she loves our family and our girls, the way she keeps it together. So, if you're a woman out there heaping criticism on Erica Kirk, what an insult to women. Women are strong. Erica Kirk is a strong woman. And I don't even like to think about the fact that if that was my family, if I was dead, if that had happened to me, and my wife was left here to deal with our 2.5-year-old and our 10-month-old, she would do it. She would get through it because she's strong. And it would be painful and it would be hard. And how dare any woman criticize how she gets through that when you have not lost like Erica Kirk and the Kirk family has lost, when you have not lost, your kids have not lost like their kids have lost their father. You want to talk about criticism? You want to criticize these kids for making stupid, rude jokes in the chat? How about the people that do this to Erica Kirk? How about the people? There's a difference here. There's a difference here. But anyway, look, this is Drew Allen, your Millennial Minister of Truth. I'll be back maybe this week, maybe tomorrow. But I got to get 2 in. I think it might be next week. But I just want to tell you, I love this country. I genuinely love all of you. I even love these people, Hugh, and all you, I say this loving you, all you losers that are on here, calling me a white suburban. I don't even hate you. If there's one thing that Charlie's death instilled on me, it's I want to reach out to you. I want to converse with you. And, you can throw and, insult me and I can say stuff, but I don't. At the end of the day, I don't take it personally. I get over it. This is a tremendous country. There are more amazing people than there are scumbags. There's always going to be scumbags. I want fewer scumbags. That requires education. It's a big ordeal. Spirituality. And love, of course, does not mean affirmation. Love is telling the truth. That's what Charlie Kirk taught us as well. It's telling the truth. So anyway, I'll end on that note. God bless you all sincerely. Until next time.
We're about news, commentary, conversations, truth, liberty, and God. We stand for American values and our flag. We believe that the Constitution is a document that fortifies rights already given to us by our Creator. We will not apologize for our love of God and country, ever. We are Right America Media.